And with the For the People Act on the ropes, let's talk about the role of Democratic leaders in getting this passed and if they should be pushing harder to protect voting rights in this country. I want to bring in BNC show host Aisha Mills. Aisha, good to see you this evening. A lot of people disappointed, and I'm actually putting that as an understatement, that there's this lack of unity within the Democratic Party. So what say you?
Well, I don't know who a lot of these people are that are disappointed by the lack of unity. The truth is that there never has been, deep unity. There's always been kind of two approaches, if you will, to trying to get things done. There are the Democrats who actually believe in structural change, who are considered more progressive, who want to have bold measures that disrupt the status quo and actually attempt to drive justice and equity and do something bold on behalf of the American people to fix problems. Then you have these conservative Democrats. I'm going to include Joe Biden in that. The middle of the roaders who are always looking for some compromise, which, used to maybe be kind of a thing, not really, but frankly is a cop-out, in my opinion. That this whole, we need a compromise is really just a cop-out for not wanting to move the needle, to get anything done, and to be bold in trying to upend the status quo that is keeping Black people in particular behind. So we're not going to ever get to a place, in at least right now with this Congress and with Mitch McConnell, still breathing and controlling his people in the Senate, where there is a compromise or, a middle of the road. So the question becomes, is there any appetite for upending the status quo? And I think that why so many of us, and I include myself in that, are always just frustrated with what's happening in Washington is that there just doesn't seem to be an appetite to do so.
So let's talk about West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, because he's the one in the spotlight right now saying that he will not support the For the People Act, despite the fact that Manchin co-sponsored the bill 2 years ago. What do you think about his stand now, and how does it seem to come down to this one man from Virginia?
I have a very dear friend who reminds us constantly as Black people that we should not put our hopes and dreams on the backs of, one white person, especially a white person that comes from a former slave state, because who they are responsive to, the politics that they believe in and have been groomed in, and the way that they go about their idea of compromise is almost always going to leave Black people behind. We are seeing exactly that with Joe Manchin. And I got to tell you that meeting that he had with the civil rights leaders was, this guy is cynical. He is, condescending. And I don't see why at all, we think we're going to get anywhere with him. And it is frustrating to me that our leadership has put so much on his shoulders to be, the standard bearer for anything.
So I have to ask you then, where do you think President Biden should land on this? What should he do about this?
Well, President Biden, I think, has landed in the right place. Like he has said, President Biden knows that we need to have some kind of real deep protections in place, and I'm going to keep calling them protections, in place from a federal standpoint that keep states and Republican legislatures in particular from playing politics with our elections and from disenfranchising Black voters. We need to do something about that. The thing about President Biden is that he has spent the bulk of his career also trying to find these, compromises, which at this point don't really go anywhere, and doing this middle of the road thing that I think Joe Manchin is trying to mimic. None of that is going to get us anywhere. I have yet to see any real movement in getting Republicans to the table to want to participate in any type of, normalizing of the way that elections should happen in America from a federal, standpoint. And that is something that Biden needs to lean all the way into. I'm just fearful that he, too, is just another conservative middle of the road dude, and that's not going to get us anywhere on this.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's a problem for Black and brown voters who are the ones who try to vote in the right people to make things fair for Black and brown communities. But anyhow, We're out of time. Thanks so much. As always, BNC host Aisha Mills, we appreciate your time.